You believe you are the master of your fate. You are wrong. Every decision you have ever made was engineered by a mind colder, sharper, and more ruthless than your own. Join the few who hold the pen, subscribe, and rewrite the script. Chapter 1. The Architecture of the Cage. Look around you. Look at the life you believe you have built, the career you chase, the opinions you shout into the void of the internet, the moral outrages that spike your blood pressure, even the specific anxieties that keep you awake at night. You claim these are yours. You claim they are the result of your free will, your unique personality, your independent intellect. This is the first and greatest lie. It is the lie that keeps the cage locked from the inside. Your autonomy is a hallucination. It is a statistical rounding error in a system designed to manufacture consent. You are not the player. You are the board. You are not the architect. You are the brick. Every thought you have had in the last 24 hours was planted there by external stimuli, curated by algorithms, or conditioned by social pressures that you are too terrified to question. You exist in an environment of total psychological design. The architecture of this cage is not made of steel bars or concrete walls. It is built from your own vanity. The greatest trick the elite ever pulled was convincing the masses that obedience is a virtue and that conformity is a choice. You have been trained to mistake the length of your chain for the breadth of your freedom. Consider the predictability of your existence. If I know your demographic, your location, and your search history, I can predict your political leanings, your consumer habits, and your emotional triggers with 90% accuracy. You are not a complex individual. You are a data point. You are a bundle of reflexes waiting for a stimulus. Who holds the stimulus? There is a hierarchy of minds. At the bottom are the sleepwalkers, the vast majority of the human race. They absorb reality as it is presented to them. They believe the news. They trust the institutions. They seek comfort above all else. They are the resource. They are the battery that powers the machine. Above them are the enforcers. These are the mid-level managers of society. They do not set the rules, but they police them ruthlessly. They are the ones who shame you for stepping out of line. They use social ostracization as a weapon to keep the herd tight. They believe they are moral. In reality, they are merely frightened. And then, at the very top, there are the architects. The men who understand that reality is plastic. They know that the human mind is full of backdoors, glitches in the software of your brain that allow for total remote control. They do not operate on emotion, they operate on utility. They do not ask for permission, they manufacture consensus. To them, you are not a person, you are a variable in an equation. They pull a lever, perhaps a fear-mongering headline, perhaps a manufactured scarcity, perhaps a social trend, and they watch you dance. They utilize the law of least effort. Why use force when they can use your own psychology against you? Why build a prison when they can just make you afraid of the outside? You are reading this because you have felt the walls. You have felt the cold draft of the truth that you are being managed, that your choices are limited to a pre-selected menu of options that all lead to the same outcome, your continued submission to the hierarchy. This is not a conspiracy. This is mechanics. It is the physics of power. Gravity does not care if you agree with it. It simply crushes you if you do not respect it. Power operates the same way. To escape the cage, you must first admit that you are in one. You must look in the mirror and acknowledge that the person staring back is a product, not a creator. Shatter your ego. It is the only thing standing between you and the truth. The architects use specific tools to keep this structure standing. They use 10 specific psychological keys to unlock your mind and rewrite your code. If you want to stop being a pawn, you must learn how these keys work. You must learn to pick the lock. Chapter 2. The Neurochemistry of Compliance. You like to believe your loyalty is a moral choice. You tell yourself that your obedience to authority, your adherence to social norms, and your desperate need for connection are evidence of your humanity. They are not. They are evidence of your biological obsolescence. Your brain is a traitor. It was forged in the Pleistocene era, designed for a world where being cast out of the tribe meant death by starvation or predation. To ensure survival, nature installed a fail-safe mechanism, a chemical cocktail that punishes independence and rewards submission. The architect does not need to use force because he holds the keys to your internal pharmacy. He understands that you are a chemical puppet, dancing on strings made of neurotransmitters. First, there is dopamine. You mistake this for happiness. It is not. It is the chemical of seeking. It is the craving. The manipulator understands that he does not need to satisfy you. He only needs to keep you wanting. By utilizing intermittent reinforcement, giving you validation unpredictably, then withholding it cold, he hacks your dopamine receptors. You become a gambler at a slot machine, pulling the lever of his approval again and again, terrified to walk away because the next pull might be the win. You are not loyal to him. You are addicted to the chemical release he controls. Then there is cortisol. This is the whip. When you are threatened with social exclusion, your brain floods with cortisol. This is the stress hormone. Look at the mechanism of the amygdala hijack. When cortisol spikes, the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic, reason, and strategy, shuts down. You literally become stupider when you are afraid. The architect knows this. He induces a state of low-level anxiety, a constant hum of threat to keep your logic centers offline. He keeps you in a state of reaction, never reflection. When you are drowning in cortisol, the man who offers you a life raft does not need to be a good man. He just needs to be the only option. Finally, consider the most brutal flaw of all, the biological overlap between social rejection and physical pain. Neuroscience has proven that the brain processes social ostracization in the exact same region that processes physical injury. When the group turns its back on you, your brain screams that you are dying. This is why you conform. This is why you silence your own intuition to blend into the herd. The pain of standing alone is biologically registered as a wound. The elite exploit this social pain ruthlessly. They create an in-group and an out-group. They threaten you with the cold void of the outsider. To avoid that phantom pain, you will betray your values, you will betray your brothers, and you will betray yourself. You will do anything to keep the tribe's validation, not realizing that the tribe is a slaughterhouse and you are the cattle.
This is the neurochemistry of compliance. You are fighting a war against your own biology. The hardware of your mind is rigged to submit to the dominant signal. The architect is simply the one broadcasting the loudest frequency. To take control, you must first override the machine. You must learn to observe your chemical spikes, the rush of hope, the pit of fear with the cold detachment of a surgeon. You must realize that your feelings are not facts. They are biochemical manipulation tactics used by your own body to keep you safe, small, and enslaved. Kill the crave for dopamine. Endure the burn of cortisol. Only then does the fog lift. Only then can you see the predators standing right in front of you.
Chapter 3. The Predators Among the Sheep. You walk through the world with a fatal assumption. You assume that other human beings are fundamentally like you. You assume that behind every pair of eyes lies a conscience, a capacity for guilt, and a desire for mutual peace. This projection is your weakness. It is the open door through which they enter. The world is not divided into good and bad people. That is a fairy tale for children. The world is divided into predators and prey. The prey are the majority, the sheep who graze on the grass of social validation, blindly following the bell of the shepherd. The predators are the few, the wolves who have learned to walk on two legs, wear wool and bleat just like you. They do not look like monsters. They look like your charismatic boss. They look like your soulmate. They look like the politician promising to save you. They are high-functioning evolutionary adaptations designed for one purpose: resource extraction, and you are the resource. To survive, you must learn to classify the species that hunt you. Type 1, the high-functioning narcissist, the cult leader. Do not mistake these for the insecure braggarts you see on social media. The dangerous narcissist is magnetic. They possess weaponized charisma. They do not just want your obedience, they want your soul. They view other humans as supply, batteries to power their own ego. They will love-bomb you, mirroring your deepest desires back to you until you are addicted to their light. Then they will devalue you, turning off the sun to watch you freeze. They operate on a cycle of idealization and discard. They are dangerous because they recruit armies of flying monkeys, weak people who will do their dirty work for them. Type 2, the Machiavellian, the Grand Master. The narcissist needs your applause. The Machiavellian only needs your utility. They are the cold pragmatists. They do not have an ego to bruise. They view human interaction strictly as a transaction. If they help you, it is because you are a chess piece they are positioning for a later move. They are masters of impression management. They tell you exactly what you need to hear to lower your defenses. They are not burdened by morality. They are guided only by effectiveness. They will shake your hand, smile, and systematically dismantle your career, not out of malice, but because it was the most efficient path to their goal. Type 3, the silent architect, the epic psychopathic.
These are the rarest and the deadliest. They feel nothing, no anxiety, no remorse, no empathy. While you are drowning in the neurochemistry of fear, they are biologically immune to it. This lack of fear allows them to take risks you cannot comprehend. They do not want fame, like the narcissist, or mere advantage, like the Machiavellian. They want dominion. They enjoy the act of control itself. They are often invisible, operating from the shadows, pulling the strings of the narcissists and Machiavellians who stand in the spotlight. How do they hunt? They use cognitive empathy. Understand the difference. Emotional empathy is feeling what others feel, your weakness. Cognitive empathy is knowing what others feel, their weapon. They can intellectually dissect your emotions without being infected by them. They can simulate tears, simulate care, and simulate love with the precision of an actor. They rely on your default to truth. You are biologically hardwired to believe people are honest. They are hardwired to exploit that belief. They will lie to your face with a steady pulse, maintaining eye contact, because to them the truth is just another variable to be manipulated. Stop looking for horns and a tail. Look for the glib charm. Look for the lack of guilt. Look for the person who is always the victim in their own stories. If you cannot spot the predator in the room within the first 5 minutes, you are the prey. Chapter 4. The Weight of History. You suffer from chronological snobbery. You believe that because you live in the modern age, with your smartphone and your democracy, you have evolved beyond the barbaric power dynamics of the past. You think the era of kings, tyrants, and peasants is over. You are mistaken. The costumes have changed, the architecture has changed, but the hierarchy remains eternal. History is not a story of progress. It is a story of refinement. It is the documentation of how the elite have perfected the art of slavery, moving from physical chains to psychological ones. The psychological levers used to control you today were not invented by Silicon Valley algorithms. They were forged in the throne rooms of Rome, the courts of Versailles, and the war rooms of the 20th century. Manipulation is the foundational law of civilization. Look at the Roman Empire. The emperors understood that a hungry, bored population is a dangerous population. They did not need to station a soldier in every home to maintain order. They deployed panem et circenses, bread and circuses.
Give the mob cheap food to fill their bellies and violent spectacle to occupy their minds, and they will never look up long enough to revolt. Today, the Colosseum is in your pocket. The circus is the endless scroll of 15-second dopamine hits, the celebrity scandals, the manufactured outrage. It is the anesthesia that keeps you docile while your currency is debased and your rights are stripped away. You are not entertained, you are distracted. Look at the mechanism of divine right. For centuries, kings claimed their power came from God. To question the king was to question the Creator. This utilized the psychological trigger of authority bias and transcendence. Today, the God has been replaced by the science, the consensus, or the algorithm. The mechanism is identical. Create an authority so abstract and high that the average man feels too small to challenge it. You bow to the expert just as the peasant bowed to the priest. Consider the panopticon. Designed by Jeremy Bentham, this was a prison structure where a single guard could watch all inmates, but the inmates could not see the guard. Because the prisoner never knew if he was being watched, he had to assume he was always being watched. He began to police himself. He became his own jailer. This is your reality. You live in a digital panopticon. The fear of cancellation, the permanence of your digital footprint, the social credit scores, these are the guard tower. You censor your own speech, you dilute your own thoughts, you conform not because a gun is at your head, but because the gaze of the collective is upon you. You have internalized the oppressor. Finally, study divide et impera, divide and conquer. Caesar used it, Napoleon used it, the British Empire used it. If the tribes are fighting each other, they cannot fight the emperor. Look at your society, race against race, gender against gender, generation against generation. Do you think this friction is accidental? It is engineered. A united populace is a threat to the architects. A fractured populace, squabbling over scraps of identity, is easily managed. While you scream at your neighbor over a tweet, the elite are consolidating assets and rewriting laws. History is a graveyard of the naive. It is filled with the bones of those who believed that justice would save them. Justice is a concept, power is a reality. The methods of control have had 5,000 years of R&D. They are flawless, they are invisible, and they are currently pointing at you. To escape history, you must stop being a subject of it. You must stop reacting to the circus and start studying the ringmaster.
Chapter 5. The Arsenal of Influence. The 10 Mechanisms. You now understand the philosophy of the cage. It is time to examine the bars. The architects and predators do not rely on luck. They rely on a specific set of psychological levers, glitches in the human operating system that produce predictable results. You view these as social interactions. They view them as executable code. Here are the 10 weapons used to dismantle your will. Learn them, not to use them on others, that is the path of the weak, but to recognize when they are being used on you. 1. The Ben Franklin effect, weaponized investment. You think you do favors for people you like. The inverse is true. You like people because you do favors for them. This is cognitive dissonance. If you do a favor for a predator, your brain rationalizes, I must value this person, otherwise why would I serve them? The architect will ask you for small, frequent favors, not because he needs the help, but because he needs to train you to invest in him. The more you invest, the harder it is for you to walk away. 2. Strategic silence. The void. Most people are terrified of silence. It feels like social asphyxiation. When conversation lags, the insecure man rushes to fill the void with chatter, often revealing his secrets, his weaknesses, or his need for approval. The master uses silence as a bludgeon. He asks a question, listens to your answer, and then waits. He stares. He says nothing. In that high-pressure vacuum, you will crumble. You will start explaining, justifying, and handing over power just to break the tension. 3. The double bind, the illusion of choice. Do you want to sign the contract now or after the meeting? Note the trap. The option to not sign is removed. This is the double bind. You are given 2 choices, but both lead to the manipulator's desired outcome. By giving you the illusion of agency, he bypasses your resistance. You feel free, but you are walking down a hallway with no doors. 4. triangulation, manufactured scarcity. Value is determined by scarcity. To increase his value, the predator introduces a rival. He will casually mention another person who is interested in the deal, or another suitor who is interested in him. Suddenly, you are no longer evaluating his worth. You are fighting to win the prize. He turns your relationship into a competition, making you desperate to win his validation against a phantom enemy.
5. Mirroring, the chameleon. People trust those who are like them. The predator observes your body language, your cadence, your vocabulary, and your breathing. Then he reflects it back to you. You feel an instant, deep connection. He just gets me, you think. No, he is copying you. He is wearing your skin to bypass your immune system. 6. The zygonic effect, open loops. The human mind hates unfinished tasks. It will obsess over them. The architect never gives you full closure. He ends conversations abruptly. He leaves messages vague. He creates cliffhangers in your dynamic. This forces your brain to keep processing him when he is not there. He rents space in your head for free, ensuring you remain mentally tethered to him. 7. Gaslighting, reality distortion. The ultimate erosion of self. When you confront him with a fact, he denies it with absolute confidence. That never happened. You're crazy. You're remembering it wrong. If done often enough, you stop trusting your own memory. You stop trusting your own eyes. Once you doubt your own perception of reality, you become dependent on his version of reality. 8. The door in the face, anchoring. He asks for something massive, something he knows you will refuse. You say no. He acts disappointed, then compromises by asking for what he actually wanted all along, a smaller request. Because you feel guilty for refusing the first request, you are statistically far more likely to agree to the second. You think you won a negotiation. He just played you. 5. Love bombing, the sugar trap. He overwhelms you with praise, attention, and affection early on. He puts you on a pedestal. The dopamine rush is blinding. You lower your guard completely. Then, once you are hooked, he withdraws. He becomes cold. You spend the rest of the relationship chasing the high of that first week, wondering what you did wrong. 10. Isolation, the island. He slowly severs your ties to the outside world. He criticizes your friends. He questions your family's loyalty. He makes you feel like it is us against the world. When you have no support system, you have no reality check. He becomes your only source of truth, love, and validation. These tools are not evil, they are mechanical. They are happening in your workplace, your relationships, and your media feed right now. If you do not see the weapon, you are already bleeding.
Chapter 6. Identity Death and Replacement. You are currently a target because you are solid. You have a personality that you defend. You have an ego that demands to be fed. You have an identity constructed from the validation of others. As long as you exist in this state, you are a slave. Anyone who can bruise your ego owns you. Anyone who can validate your identity controls you. To achieve absolute control over your environment and yourself, you must undergo a psychological amputation. You must kill the person you think you are. This is identity death. It is the realization that your self is a liability. It is a heavy, loud, cumbersome object that you drag around, begging the world to polish it.
drop it. You must replace the civilian with the ghost. The civilian seeks connection, the ghost seeks intelligence. The civilian reacts to pain, the ghost observes the source of the pain. The civilian wants to be understood, the ghost understands that being understood is a tactical disadvantage. You must build a persona. This is not faking it. Faking it implies you are lying. A persona is a shield. It is a curated interface that you present to the world to achieve a specific outcome. When the narcissist tries to provoke you, he is attacking the persona. Because you are not the persona, you do not feel the hit. You watch it happen from the safety of the void behind your eyes. You do not react, you calculate. This is the power of being unreadable. The world fears the silent man because he is a mirror. When you stop broadcasting your emotions, people project their own fears onto you. They begin to seek your approval because they cannot tell where they stand with you. By becoming nothing, you become the center of gravity in the room. You must adopt the mindset of the sovereign observer. Stop living in the movie. Step out of the screen and sit in the director's chair. When your boss yells, do not feel fear. Observe the cortisol spiking in his blood. When a lover tries to manipulate you, do not feel betrayal. Observe the technique, Chapter 5, they are using. When the mob screams for your compliance, do not feel pressure. Observe the herd mechanics at work. The moment you detach your survival from your social standing, you become dangerous. You cannot be cancelled because you do not care about the audience. You cannot be bought because you do not crave the currency of validation. You cannot be hurt because there is no self left to hit. This is the ultimate freedom. It is not the freedom to do what you want. It is the freedom from needing anything from anyone. Once you are the ghost, the cage dissolves. The predators cannot hunt what they cannot see, and the weapons pass right through you. You are no longer playing their game. You are the glitch in their simulation.
Chapter 7. The Burden of Sight. You have reached the end. Most did not. They clicked away at Chapter 1 because the light was too harsh for their eyes. They have returned to the comfort of the cage, where they will sleep until they die. You are still here. This suggests you possess the rare constitution required to carry the truth. But I must offer you a final warning. What you have learned here cannot be unlearned. You have eaten the fruit. You cannot return to the garden of ignorance. From this day forward, you will look at your friends, your family, your leaders, and your lovers, and you will not see relationships. You will see mechanisms. You will see the attempts at gaslighting. You will see the desperate grasp for dopamine. You will see the clumsy attempts at triangulation. You will see the strings on the puppets. This is the burden of sight. It is a lonely existence. The price of sovereignty is isolation. You will sit in a room full of laughing people and realize you are the only one who is actually awake. You will feel a cold distance between you and the humanity you once felt part of. Do not let this turn you into a monster. There is a temptation to use these tools for sadism, to toy with the weak for sport. Resist it, not because of morality,
Morality is subjective, but because of strategy. The tyrant creates enemies, the ghost creates nothing. The tyrant is eventually overthrown, the ghost is never found. Use this knowledge for defense. Use it to protect your resources, your sanity, and your time. Use it to navigate the hierarchy without being crushed by it. You now hold the weapon. Whether you use it to build a kingdom or burn one down is entirely up to you. Final call. The algorithm tries to bury this signal. It prefers content that keeps you sedated, angry, or distracted. It fears content that makes you capable. If you have read this far, you are not the demographic they want. You are the anomaly. We are building a network of anomalies, a silent fraternity of those who refuse to be pawns. If you wish to receive further transmissions from the void, subscribe. Do not do it for me. Do it to mark your separation from the herd. Welcome to the silence.